Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about some brand new palettes. All of them are drugstore or drugstore priced affordable palettes. And I haven't done a video like this in quite a while where I show palettes and also some comparisons to other ones. And I know so many of you guys really enjoy these videos. I just feel like there haven't been a ton of new palettes releasing until very recently. So I have tons to share with you. Let's jump right in and get started with the first two, which are both from Profusion. So they have a new collection. They have some new lipsticks, some new cream blushes, and also these two new palettes. We have Ethereal and Harvest. So Ethereal is actually the one that I'm wearing on my eyes today. It is so beautiful. It's colorful, but not over the top bright or neon. So I really like that. I feel like these are kind of quote unquote wearable colors for those of us who prefer neutrals for the most part. So for today's look, I'm wearing this pastel lavender shade called Lavender Fields, kind of all over the lid. Then I applied this one called Delightful, which is sort of a deeper eggplant color. And I just put that very sparingly in my outer corner and then blended it back. So I really softened up the color because it is very dark overall. Then I put this beautiful duochrome called Fluorescence all over the lid. So I really loved working with this palette. I thought the formula was fantastic. So let me show you guys what it looks like up close, and then we can take a look at some swatches as well. So I just think the color story here is really, really stunning. It's definitely not something that we haven't seen before, which you'll see when I do some comparison swatches, but overall I think it has a really nice mix of matte shades, shimmer shades. You have some that are a little bit more glittery and then other ones that are a little bit more smooth and metallic. You have 20 shadows in here altogether, so there's a lot to play with. And looking at the swatches, I mean, you can see the formula is really, really nice. Profusion always does a really good job, and not just for the price, but the shadows are just really good in general, and I feel like they can definitely hold up to some of my higher end palettes. So I really think this is beautiful and at a very affordable price, but I do want to quickly show you some comparisons to other palettes I have in my collection, just in case you already have those and you might feel like this would be a little bit repetitive. So let's get into those really quick. Moving on, the other palette that Profusion just launched is called Harvest. And this one, oh my goodness, it is so, so beautiful. If you like greens, I think you're gonna love this one, but it also has a really nice mix of neutrals in here as well. And one of the things that really surprised me about this palette that the other one doesn't have is a lot of cream shadows. So you have this one here is a cream. It's a beautiful duochrome. You also have this one, which is a cream, this one down here, and also this one. I might be missing some, but the cream formula feels so, so good. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is that because this is a cardboard palette, I feel like it doesn't seal all the way like a plastic palette, you know, that has like a little latch on it would. So I'm a little concerned about these drying out, but right now the formula is absolutely incredible. Let me just show you guys the swatches of these and you can see just the pigmentation and the overall vibe of the palette. This one definitely screams fall to me. So I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing playing with this, especially when the weather starts to get cooler. But I also think some of the lighter greens that are on the top row would be amazing for this time of year as well. But just like the other one, this palette does remind me of some other palettes that I have in my collection. So I just want to show you those really quickly. But I have to say, this formula in general holds up to everything else that I'm going to show you. So let's take a quick look. Next up, I have two new palettes from Catrice. I know we can't get them here in the US in stores anymore now that they're not at Ulta, but Catrice is available on Amazon, so I usually order from there, but I'm not sure that these palettes are on their Amazon site yet, so you have to go just to their regular website and order. But these two new palettes really wowed me. I have not been a big fan of Catrice's formula. I feel like it's very hit or miss. Some of their palettes are good, some haven't been so great. These are probably the best I've ever tried from them. So just quickly, they did send me a little card with the PR package, and it says that they're launching these this June for World Environment Day. In an effort to keep this world as beautiful as we found it, we've made a donation to the world's leading conservation organization, the World Wildlife Fund. So I just wanted to mention that. They also said that this is a cruelty-free and vegan formula. I forgot to mention that the Profusion ones are not vegan because they have carmine in both of them. So if you're sensitive to carmine, just wanted to mention that. But they are cruelty-free. So the Catrice ones are both. Let's take a look at the first one. This is the Rainforest Haze palette. So we have another green palette here, and this looks very different just packaging wise to anything that Catrice has had in the past. You have these really big square pans, which honestly I think is so nice. I prefer a larger pan to really be able to get my finger into shimmer shades versus like tiny little pans. I would say the biggest negative of this palette for me is that there's no crease shade. You have a light ivory shade at the top left called Mystical. Then on the bottom left, you have Tranquil, which is very similar in tone. I feel like if Tranquil was a little bit deeper, that would make an awesome crease color, but this is still too light for me to use in my crease, and I'm pretty pale, so anybody who has deeper skin than me, it's not gonna be a crease shade for you either. And then the only other matte shade is the shade Waterfall, which is a deep green. And to use that in my crease, I would really have to work to sheer that out. So this palette is mostly shimmer shades. I just wanted to mention that. It's not a deal breaker for me. I prefer it to have more mattes, but you know, I love the Flower Beauty, Jungle Lights, Desert Lights. I think if it has a really good shimmer formula, I'm okay with reaching into another palette if I need a matte shade, but I just wanted to mention that. But the formula on this is incredible, and you'll see that in the swatches. This is just one swipe of each of these shimmer shades, and they have that really rich, buttery, hydrating feel to them. They are not crumbly. They're very smooth. They're just super metallic as well. They're not glittery. I was honestly wowed by this formula. I did not expect to love it nearly as much as I do. So just quickly, let's take a look at some comparisons with this palette. The second palette from Catrice is called Sandy Days, and this one is more of a neutral palette, very warm neutrals overall. A lot of gold and bronze in here, as well as some taupe. And looking at this one closer, I do like that this does have some crease colors in it. It doesn't have a deeper matte shade, but sometimes I do use a shimmer shade for the outer corner. And this one has a couple of deeper shades that aren't super metallic, so I think if you blended it out with a brush, it would almost look matte on your eyes. There are two shades in the center, Dazed and Bronzed, that are both really nice mid-tone shadows for your crease. However, this one is very shimmer heavy as well. Out of the 12 shades, 9 of them are shimmer shades. But again, looking at the swatches, they just have such a beautiful metallic sheen to them. They're really gonna pop on your eyes, but they're not glittery, and they're just ultra smooth, very easy to pick up, and they're not crumbly, they're not chunky. So I was really impressed with this palette as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of comparisons. Next up, I ended up purchasing the ColourPop Gettin' Fresh palette when they had their 30% off sale a couple weeks ago. I didn't get this one in PR, but I just loved the look of it. I really enjoy these larger palettes. Smokin' Roses, which came out a couple of months ago, is still one of my favorite palettes that I use constantly. And I thought this one looked like such a beautiful summer option. You have a lot of pops of lime green in here and some really pretty duochrome shades like this one and this one. They are so stunning. So let's take a look at it up close. We have some rosy tones in this palette. We have some neutrals. We have those greens and kind of turquoise blues in here as well. So it's just a very fresh summer vibe, and the formula feels great in this one. I feel like ColourPop is pretty consistent when it comes to their formula, so I usually know what to expect going in, and I didn't really find any issues. Once in a while with a ColourPop shadow, I'll get something that feels difficult to pick up, or maybe it's a little bit more sheer, but in this case, I felt like everything had great pigmentation, and it was just very easy to swatch. It's been very easy to use when I've used it, so overall, I'm really enjoying this palette. And I don't really have any comparisons as far as this one goes because I don't have any that I can think of in my collection that have these lime green colors in them. So I think this is really what sets this palette apart from the others, because when you take the pops of color away, what you're left with is basically just neutrals. So this has some elements of their Bare Necessities palette. It has some elements of Smokin' Roses, probably Stone Cold Fox with some of the cooler shades. I'm sure most of you have a lot of just basic neutral palettes in your collection already, but I think mixed with those pops of color is really what makes this one a little bit more unique, just this combination overall. So I've really been enjoying this one as well. And the last palette that I have is a new palette from C Color, and this is their Milky Way palette. It is pretty much a spot-on dupe for Huda Beauty's Naughty Nude palette, which is one of my absolute favorites that I talk about so often on my channel. Not only have they copied the colors, but also the textures that are in the Naughty Nude palette. They even added those marbled shades that have the cream formula. They have that one that sort of looks like a petri dish down in the corner. They really nailed the overall vibe of the palette, but I wasn't really sure that the formula was going to hold up to Huda, especially when it came to the shimmer shades, because those are my favorite in the Naughty Nude palette. They are so intense and foiled and metallic on your eyes. But I have to say, looking at these swatches, the shimmer shades are just as intense as the ones in the Huda palette. So I was very, very surprised by that. I think what isn't holding up quite as well is the matte shades, because the mattes here, you can see in the swatches, they're a little bit patchy. They're a little bit more of a scratchy formula. They're not as smooth. I think Huda has one of the smoothest, easiest to blend matte formulas that I have in my collection, and these are just not quite there. I think you can still make them work with a little bit of effort, but I wouldn't go so far as to say that the matte shades are really wowing me in this palette, but I think the shimmer shades definitely do. Even this Petri dish shade down here is a lot more pigmented than the one in the Huda palette. That one just kind of looks like a glaze with just a very tiny hint of color in it, and this one actually is a lot more pigmented. So if you're looking for a rosy tone palette at a really affordable price, definitely check this one out. I do have a coupon code with C color as well, so I'll leave it down in the description box. All right guys, so that's everything that I have. I'd say if I had to choose my absolute favorite, like must-have palettes from this video, I would say the Profusion ones are definitely my top favorite. I just think the formula is incredible. The color stories are so beautiful, and I've just been having so much fun playing with them. Second to that, I would say the ColourPop Getting Fresh palette. I really have been enjoying this one as well. I love the variety that it has, and the colors in here are just right up my alley. They're so pretty. And then after that, I would say the Catrice palettes really wowed me in terms of the formula. I'm not crazy about the lack of matte shades in these, but I think if you're looking for beautiful shimmers, these are incredible. And then the C color palette would probably come in last, although it's still not a bad palette by any means. I think the shimmer shades are incredible. The cream shades that they have in here are so, so good. Really, the mattes are like the only downside to it, but they're not unworkable. So you can definitely make this one work. Honestly, I don't think there was a bad palette in this entire video. So the drugstore is really stepping up their game lately, and I just love to hear your thoughts on all of these down below. Are you planning on picking any of them up? Do you have them already? I'd love to hear your thoughts as always. And I just want to thank you for watching today's video, for clicking on it, and for making it all the way through. I appreciate it so much. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And also, if you are new to my channel and you like drugstore makeup and dupes, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. I'm almost at 100K. Thank you all, and I will see you in my next video. Take care, guys. Bye.